We will have today a very short introduction from my side, and then we will have some contribution from Enel, Lamberto Daipra, and from SNAM, Davide Cirelli and Giovanna Pozzi. Renewable energy plays an important role in the Italian energy scene, finding widespread use both for the production of electricity, both for heating and cooling thermal sector, and as biofuel used in the transport sector. In 2025, the European Union launched a strategy to combat climate change by proposing concrete action to contain the effect of climate change and by indicating among the targets for 2020 the increase in the percentage of renewable energy to 20%. In Italy, the share of energy deriving from renewable sources continue to increase. If in 2017 renewables made up 50% of gross production, the percentage rose to 39% in 2019. The major impetus to convert to renewable energy came from national policies to reduce emission with state incentive. Italy is in line not only for the target of production, but also with the use of renewable energy in overall energy consumption assigned to us by the European Union for 2020. Renewable energy, wind, solar, hydraulic, and biomass are a key alternative to fossil fuels. Their use allows to reduce not only greenhouse gas emission from energy production and consumption, but also the dependence of Italy and the European Union on import of fossil fuel. Of course, we have to tackle the challenge of transition, and this is one of the issues we'll discuss today. It's a challenge of technology, of organization, of market regulation, but it's important that in Italy we have an increased capacity, about 3,000 installed hydroelectric plants, 1,000 wind power plants, a myriad of photovoltaic plants, about 480,000. As far as the operators, today we have here Enel Green Power, that is the biggest renewable energy operator in the world, with an installed capacity of around 48 giga. In the generation mix include the main renewable resources, wind, solar, hydroelectric, and geothermal. I would say also that in geothermal, Enel has been a pioneer in the world with the first plant in Larderello in the early 20 years of the last century in Toscana. Production is 100% sustainable with a presence in 28 countries and an installed capacity of 46 gigawatt. SNAM is developing research and development of new renewable green gases such as biomethane and hydrogen. In recent years, it has demonstrated continued commitment and support for the development of sustainable mobility through the signing of agreements and partnership with the aim of supporting the expansion of the compressed natural gas. I'm so happy that both Enel and SNAM are present here in India. Enel since some years and has already increased its capacity in wind and solar energy. And SNAM more recently has signed an important agreements on occasion of the bilateral summit between Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Conte in digital modalities, very important agreements that will allow SNAM to increase their presence in the Indian market. I want also to mention that during our bilateral digital summit, green economy and renewable energy are among the priorities of the economic partnership between Italy and India. And also I want to mention that also in the manufacturing for renewable energy plants, today the Italian renewable industry, mainly made of SMEs, is worth of 3.6 billion euro in turnover, 60% from export. So we are able to be a global partner of India in the renewable energy sector and in the energy transition. And the last summit emphasized the importance of this partnership between Italy and India. Now we'll start, but before starting, I want also to give you some statistics about the increase of green economy and renewable energy in India. In the coming 3 years, there is an estimated investment of 55 billion euro in this sector and 175 gigawatt to increase the capacity in the coming 3 years. That means more or less more than 50 gigawatt per year. So really, India is not only an important partner in terms of technology and how we can share with this country, but is also one of the most important markets for renewable energy and for energy transition. But now I will leave the floor to Lamberto Daipra from Enel for 30 minutes for its presentation on Enel in India, supporting India energy transition through sustainable solution. Lamberto, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let me thank you, the organization of the event, for the kind invitation. And of course, let me also thank you, His Excellency, for the kind words of introduction and presentation of our company. I will help through a presentation. I hope that the presentation can be seen now. My name is Lamberto Daipra. I bear the responsibility in the Enel Group for the generation activities in Africa, Asia, and Oceania. Let me first of all introduce our group. We are part of Enel Group. Enel is a utility, and we are currently present in 32 countries, so in most of the continent. In some continents we are heavily present, for instance in Europe and the Americas, in others less. What we do, we generate electricity, we distribute and sell electricity. We generate it from virtually all generation means, and from coal, gas, nuclear, and of course renewables. Our distribution networks are practically equal to a couple of million of kilometers of networks, and we employ some 70,000 employees at world level. Some number that is I want to point out about the transformation that Enel underwent in the last years, and can be seen in this small cake here, in which you can see that the renewable installed capacity of the group today is more than half. It's 56%. Which is
Sorry, Roberto, we cannot see the PowerPoint presentation, only the first page. If you can switch on the presentation.
Yes. Let me try again, because I had the second page shown. Okay. Okay, now it should be seen. This is the group and the numbers that I've been explaining about Enel. So the real point is that our group underwent an important transformation, energy transformation, which today led us to have more than half of the renewable power plants in our fleet. But it's a path which is, I would say, halfway, because in a decade or so we will have all our production park, generation park, renewable, or in any case, we will have a full decarbonization of our generation park. And we are not the only company that underwent this transformation. Some key numbers are shown here. We We are the first network operator at world level. We have some 73 million clients, and we have the largest retail customer base worldwide with 70 million clients. But as His Excellency mentioned, we are the largest player in the renewable field, and we have some 46 giga, almost 48 giga now, entering into production, which puts us in a first position as in the private sector in this new field. The renewable footprint is shown in this chart, and we see all the countries in which we are present as renewable. Of course, there's also India. We are speaking of more than 1,200 power plants, renewable power plants, which are located in 28 countries worldwide. We employ in this sector almost 8,000 people, and the most important thing of this sector is that it's growing and growing, because in the next decade we are planning a full replacement of our coal and, to some extent, gas fleet with renewable power plants. The one important thing to mention here is that, for instance, we are planning to phase out all our coal power plants within 2027. There are several reasons because of this. It makes sense from the economic point of view to phase out the power plants, or better said, it makes sense not to keep them ongoing or have some works to make life extension of such power plants. So the plans of our companies are to reach a complete phase out of the coal power plants well before 2030. We should reach this zero coal in Enel in 2027. We are speaking of about phasing out some 10 gigawatts of old power plants. Another important topic to show our commitment is the ensuing level of the CO2 emitted from our power plants, that in 2030 should be abated of some 80%. This is due, of course, of the concern that most of the companies have in the emission of greenhouse gases, and let's say we think that we can provide an 80% abatement just by shifting the fuels as let's say consequence of not using coal and using less gas. Last but not least, to mention in this chart is that we should reach a full decarbonization of our plants, meaning as you may see, it's a long term, it's an infrastructural change. What we can say that it will take, of course, a lot of time, because things cannot be changed from one day to the other, but it's something relentless, virtually unstoppable. We don't see any other way today that following this path. And beside this, of course, it's something that started a few years ago. It's not something we started recently. It's a path that already went on. What are the technologies we are dealing with? Well, the technologies we are dealing with are, have been mentioned by the ambassador, are what is today is a proven renewable technology. So wind onshore, solar photovoltaic, geothermal energy, hydroelectric, and biomass. And as mentioned, we can boast, especially in the geothermal field, the oldest plant in the world that started, operation at the beginning of 1900, which is today, of course, kept in a museum in Italy. So we have a very long tradition in certain technologies. Of course, I mean, we are speaking of technology. Geothermal is not the only technology having 100 years. Hydroelectric is as well a very old technology, while the recent one, of course, were wind and solar that has had really a boost in the past years. And then we have the innovation. What we consider as innovation: storage, off-grid system, hybrid solution, marine energy. Storage, batteries, well, actually they cannot be really considered as an innovation because today they are commercially proven. They can be used at industrial level, and they are really going to become an essential part of the renewable power plants in order to manage demand with supply and provide services to the grid, not just to mention the plain stabilization of the grid. Other systems like off-grid, hybrid solutions, solar home systems are technically proven, but there are some concern about the cost of this technology, which are yet a bit too expensive for a full deployment. But we will reach, I mean, the full feasibility. Concerning marine energy, well, we are speaking of something which is absolutely at pioneering stage. We have several sectors in which the research and the development is going. Nobody invented yet something really universal or fully deployable. We, as a company, we are devoting energies and money in looking for solutions for marine energy because we consider that the potential is huge, and we consider the marine energy is something like the solar photovoltaic, 10, or 15 or 20 years ago. So this is in a nutshell how we want to reach for the time the full decarbonization of our company. The way we are working in a sustainable way. Our commitment is to follow the goals, the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which have been set by the United Nations. And of course, we are committed especially to the seventh goal, which is the provision of affordable and clean energy. Our targets in this year is 55% of renewable capacity. We reached it. And even went beyond. We have 56 of the generation park as renewable capacity. We want to have meeting I have trouble here. Sorry for the next target will be next year, in a couple of years from now. Sorry, to have 70% of the renewable capacity. We are of course committed with other targets. Those targets which are referred to climate action, so the abatement of CO2, and of course the industry, innovation, infrastructure, and of course training, because training is an essential part of our activities. I mean, you cannot do what we do if people are not properly trained and taught. Our presence in India. We are present in India. We have offices in Gurgaon and in Bangalore. As Enel Green Power, we operate 2 wind power plants for an overall capacity of 172 megawatts. The first one is, the larger one is located in Gujarat, and the smaller one is located in Maharashtra. We have been awarded with, last year and a bit earlier, with for the 3 projects for an overall capacity of almost 1 giga. There are a couple of wind projects which are located in the state of Gujarat as well, and then we have a quite large solar photovoltaic project, which is going to be built in Rajasthan. I will mention also that Enel Group is also present in India with the company Enel X, which is the company of the group which is dealing with demand response. So it's dealing with the way we provide services, specific services, to final clients. Just not the provision of electricity, but the provision of the electricity they need in the way they need, and in the way that, I mean, they can save money by using it and buying it in the proper way. Of course, the target are industries, small, medium, large industries. Having said that, let me move. These are just nice pictures of our plants in operation, the one in Gujarat and the two large, the smaller one in Maharashtra. And this is the job site that started, I mean, this month for the project of Coral, which is the other wind power plant that we are going to build and operate in the state of Maharashtra. You can see here also these huge, I mean, towers for the erection of the wind blades and turbines. Why this has been possible? This has been possible because of the great and important effort of the Indian authorities that set up, I would say, a world-leading program, which is the target of India was really a huge target. We are speaking of 450 gigawatts of renewable capacity to 2030. The target for 2022 was set in 175, but when the Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, announced publicly that probably this target is going to be a bit higher, to reach 220 gigawatts, which translates in 40 gigawatts per year of solar and wind tenders, which is something, I mean, you don't find anywhere else in the world. So it's really a huge commitment, and it shows how the country is committed in this transformation. And of course, we are trying to provide all our help in reaching this very large and ambitious target. But up to now, it has been a success. I mean, till a couple of months ago, almost 90 giga of renewable power plants have been put in operation in the country. So it's something very ambitious, very important, and to which we are fully committed, and we want to do it. I will show you now something which is related to the fact that we are changing our generation park elsewhere in the world. This is what Enel Group is doing in Spain. In Spain, we had an old coal power plant, and we decided to refurbish it with renewable capacity. So instead of having an older power plant, too expensive to be refurbished, too expensive to be operated, the choice was to shift and use the area for having solar PV, wind power plants, of course, coupled with batteries. The production is the same. The area involved, of course, is much larger, but it's always within the plant's previous area. And we used, of course, several technologies and several technical tricks in order to fit this large power plant into the Spaniard grid. Of course, I mean, this is something that will take place in the next years. It's not something you build in a day, but these are the plans we are having, and we will carry it out. So this is the first or the second kind of transformation from a thermal-based power plant to a fully renewable power plant that is going to take place in our generation park. Another important feature about our group is the digitalization. Digitalization is an automation revolution which are, of course, affecting many fields. In our construction sites and in our power plants in operation, of course, we apply and fine-tune technologies in order to have a shorter construction time, a shorter cost of construction, and of course, having a quality which is unchanged, matched, or even improved. Of course, our goal is to have a 100% safe operations, both during the construction and during the operation of the power plant. Increased value coming from better designed power plant and reduced costs of exploitation. This, of course, redefines also some roles of the people working both on the construction site and during the power plant operation. But it's also here, it's something I would say unstoppable and relentless, because we know today that the digital technology has an overwhelming presence in the daily life of everybody, and of course is going to affect a lot also the the power production field. Energy storage. Energy storage is the next revolution in the energy field. It's something disruptive for many reasons. I mean, we are all aware that, energy had to be produced and used. It was not feasible till a few years ago to store it at low cost. Although the technology has been there for more than 100 years, but the cost was still too high. Well, in the last years, we have seen a really drop of the costs and I would say a commercial viability of the storage systems. And the storage systems, of course, are today, the most proven are the lithium batteries, at least the one that we are choosing for our next power plants. The cost has been coming out, and the battery allows for this nice tricks that are shown in this chart. Basically, you store the energy and use it when the energy cannot be produced by, for instance, a solar power plant. Or you can smooth the uneven production coming from a wind power plant. This is very, very important, has, of course, important technical consequences, because the renewable power plants will be more and more fit into a grid, but it would have also some market consequences, because, needless to say, the way we sell electricity, the way we produce electricity, the planning will change in the next future. Below you see some fields of research, because the storage is not only batteries, there are other ways to store the energy. Some of them are not really affecting our industry, but speaking, for instance, of liquid air and liquid CO2, which are more on the oil and gas side. But there's no doubt that, for instance, flow batteries or the thermal storage or the gravitational storage maybe one day find a space also in the power sector. We are, of course, doing a lot of research to this regard. And this is what we are actually doing in the field of storage. These are all the projects we are currently in place here and there in the world, starting from Italy, Portugal, Spain, and we have even a small power plant in Ethiopia, United States, and South America. As of today, the number is not large. We have just projects for 0.5 gigawatt, so 519 megawatt. But you see the number there, 7 gigawatt.
Lamberto, now you are connected again, I think. Can you hear us?
Sorry, I can hear you. I can hear you. Sorry,
Yeah.
there's been a mismatch in the line. I hope. Let me reshare the content. I hope now everybody can see the presentation. We will speak now about green hydrogen, which is the next frontier. Hydrogen is going to have a very important role in the energy transition, especially when related to decarbonizing the industry and especially to hard to abate sectors. So for certain industrial application, you need gas, and hydrogen is a clean gas. Of course, a clean gas means also to produce hydrogen in a clean way. And so, I mean, because of our job, we think that the best way is to have the green hydrogen, meaning green hydrogen using feeding electrolyzers, using, of course, energy coming from the sun, from the wind, from many renewable sources, and of course using it in electrolyzers in which water is split into hydrogen and oxygen without any other waste or byproducts that should be treated or removed in other way. Of course, this is another important infrastructural change. A lot of nations prepared some national hydrogen plans because they are aware of the importance and the role that this energy vector, because the hydrogen is not an energy source, it's an energy vector. Today we don't have the hydrogen, as we are all aware of. Unless we bring it from the outer space, we have to produce it. So this vector, we think that the best way for doing it is to have it, done from green energy. Last, not least, this is something which we are testing in our factory in Italy. 3Sun is the commercial trademark of our panel factory in Sicily. We are manufacturing some panels for a portion of our photovoltaic power plants. We are doing a lot of research on the ways to improve the efficiency of the panel. You see in this chart that the efficiency today, we reached an efficiency of 23%. In the next couple of years, we should attain 25% and then have it at 29%. This is due to the use of a heterojunction technology that should help in increasing the efficiency of the panel and therefore lowering the surface required for the panel and to have more efficiency and more energy produced for the same surface unit. Of course, this is something which will take another couple of years to have it done, but there's no doubt that we want to be part of let's say, the efficiency run towards more and more better and better solar photovoltaic fuel cells. So in a nutshell, what we can do in India, we are doing renewables. We are world leaders in the renewable field, large industrial power plants. We will participate to the tenders of SECI, but we also look for industrial clients, large factories, large industrial clients, or even small industrial clients that would like to have green energy. We have certain projects with some industries, and we hope to find more and more clients to this regard. So renewables is something we are doing, and we will continue to do in the next years, thanks to the ambitious policies of the Indian government, but also to our ambition to find industrial clients for our plant. We do things in a circular way, in a sustainable way. We are not doing this only in India, we are doing it everywhere in the world in which we operate, in the 32 countries in which we are operating. What we are not yet doing in India is dealing with networks, smart grids, and, let's say, providing digitalized service. We will, because we want to enter also the so-called electricity distribution market, which is another world, dealing with networks, smart grids, and this sort of things. So this is a brief presentation of Enel, what we can do in India, and I, of course, thank you very much, the organizers, and once again, His Excellency, for this opportunity to having presented our company. Thank you very much to everybody.
Thank you very much, Lamberto, for this very interesting and comprehensive presentation of the activities of Enel all over the world, but with focus on India, and also for reaffirming the strong and ambitious commitment of Enel here in India, with the opportunities that we will have in the coming years for the future of renewable energies in this continent, I would say, with the opportunities for both internal operators as well as foreign operators as Enel. Now we go to Snam. Somebody could ask, but why Snam, that is an operator for transport and dispatching of natural gas, one of the most important certainly in Europe, why we have this involvement of Snam? Not only for the mention that I had in my introduction of the new development of Snam in hydrogen and renewable energy, but also India can benefit of the technology of Snam in using the gas for the transition economy and transition energy. That's certainly a point. In Italy, we consider gas as one of the most important sources for facilitating the transition to renewable energy. This is also the view and the vision of the International Energy Agency. I'm so glad to give the floor now to Davide Cirelli, that is the India country manager of Snam. Davide, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I hope you can see me and hear me well. Well, first of all, let me thank once again the organizer for this opportunity, which is indeed very, very welcome. Thanks in particular to the ambassador, Mr. De Luca. It has been a real pleasure to be involved from your side, as well as to the organizers of the Reinvest platform, which is something that for us, it is really important to be present on. I will share the presentation. Let me see when it will be available. I think you should be seeing it. Okay, perfect. So let me go to the beginning of our presentation with a couple of numbers about Snam. Snam is actually one of the largest gas infrastructure players in the world, and we are by far the leader in Europe when it comes to our core businesses, and our core businesses are namely three. Transport. We have approximately 42,000 kilometers of high-pressure transmission pipelines, which obviously doesn't include the distribution network, which is a low-pressure type of network. That makes us the second largest player in the world when it comes to natural gas outside Russia. The second let's say, core business of Snam is the underground gas storage. We are one of the largest players in the world for underground gas storage with approximately 42,000 BCM of capacity. And also when it comes to regasification, we are one of the leading players in Europe with 20 BCM of yearly regasification capacity in our terminal, import LNG terminals, both onshore and offshore on an FSRU basis. We are a company that is partially controlled by the Italian government with a 30% stake. The rest is listed on the stock exchange, and some of our numbers are the one that you can see on the right side, approximately 1.1 billion euros net profit and a market cap of approximately 25 billion. And right now, the timing's actually quite particular, because Snam just came up yesterday in particular, with our updated 2024 industrial strategic plan. So there will be a whole new set of news and numbers coming out in the following days in our company, and they're all basically in a growing trend. We have a very strong international presence that we can see on one of the following slides, and combined with our core businesses, which are the three ones that I just mentioned, we have been undergoing a significant restructuring or expansion of our portfolio towards the decarbonization of the industrial processes by trying to leverage on several different fields where we have been finding out that we could bring significant value in the decarbonization process. In particular, one of those, if not the most important one, is hydrogen. On hydrogen, we will have a dedicated session on the second part of our speech, which will be led by Giovanna, that is in charge of renewables and hydrogen in Snam, and therefore it is something that it is very much at the core of our strategy. And it is at the core because we are stressing the incredible importance of matching the production of green hydrogen, or wherever is actually better for climate conditions to produce green hydrogen, with the end markets of green hydrogen, which they are not necessarily in the same place. Our effort is very much concentrated to try to understand how to use existing infrastructures to link the production of green hydrogen to the end users of green hydrogen. So that is something that we will have a dedicated session on later on. Snam for Environment is basically an initiative that has been at the core of the energy transition strategy of Snam over the past years, and that is basically aiming at increasing the capacity of biogas and biomethane generation by using cutting-edge technologies. Snam is a company that, as you have probably seen on the press, is very much active on the M&A side in basically acquiring talent and acquiring cutting-edge technologies and brand new ideas to basically support our goal to help the decarbonization of the industry and of the economy. So for these reasons, Snam has acquired IES Biogas, which is an Italian, one of the Italian leaders in biogas and biomethane EPC development and operation and maintenance plant development. So with this company, we are basically expanding our business all around the world to make sure that we can be present in the markets where there is a potential of biogas and biomethane to be produced. I will go a little bit more into details later. Mobility is once again a very important strategy for us in order to replace, let's say, heavily polluted fuels such as diesel, gasoline, and LPG, and try to replace them with cleaner gases such as natural gas and blends of natural gas with other green gases such as biogas, biomethane, hydrogen, etc., etc. So our strategy in mobility is to invest throughout the entire value chain, from the production of CNG compressors, as you have probably seen the press release announcement that we are starting a CNG compressor factory in Gujarat in the next months. And also we're targeting a development of CNG and LCNG stations to basically foster the introduction of LNG in the mobility market, particularly useful for heavy-duty trucks and buses to significantly cut the emissions. And we are also very active on the entire mobility, which is basically linked to the retrofitting activities and everything else that is basically helping to enhance the presence of gas in the mobility sector. Efficiency is something that right now we are offering in Italy, which is and in Europe, which is one of the basically base core bricks of our decarbonization strategy, because it's aiming as reducing the emission by improving the industrial processes of all of our activities throughout the entire value chain. So this is something that we're also willing to do in India at a very wide level, so that basically trying to offer cutting edge solutions to reduce emissions and to basically perform best practices in each and every sector of the gas infrastructure market. Reforestation is another initiative that is basically aiming in that direction, where together with the Italian Sovereign Wealth Fund, we are basically planting trees all over the country. Let me move forward to the next slide. Here is again an idea about our leadership role in the gas midstream infrastructure sector, both in Europe with the transmission pipelines, and for the underground gas storage sites that we have in Italy and in the rest of Europe. And then there is we have a presence in the UK and Belgium with an underwater pipeline. We have we own the high pressure transmission pipeline grid on the south of France, as well as in Austria. We own DESFA, which is the Greek Hellenic operators, and we just finished last week, as a matter of fact, when we enter into commercial agreements, we ended the the TAP pipeline, the pipeline that is basically bringing gas from Azerbaijan all the way to the south of Italy, so that Italy can basically increase its role as gas hubs of entry point of Europe. Likewise for Austria, we own another part of the transmission grid in Austria, and we have recently acquired in 2020 a significant stake in ADNOC, Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, gas transmission pipelines. Here is basically our presence, let's say, outside Europe. We have an office in China since a few years, and we have a presence in India now. The issue is that we were meant to open the office at the beginning of the year, and then, well, we all know what happened in 2020, which is not probably a year to remember for mankind, but we are very much we are ready to set up our footprint and our presence in India as soon as the situation will allow it. To be concrete, that should happen basically in Q1 next year. That's our hope. The office will be in Delhi, and basically our presence within will be covering our entire value proposition that I just described in my previous slides. Snam is a company that is basically fully committed to the ESG agenda, and one of the news that we announced in our recent 2024 plan is the what we call the ESG Scorecard, which is basically a scorecard which is addressing each and every one of the three fields: environmental, social, and government, by identifying 13 areas of focus, of interest, where we are going to focus our operations in the next years in order to improve our corporate ESG agenda. Also because Snam is actually one of the first companies in the world to introduce an ESG board committee. So it's something that we do believe very much. And just like a very brief overview, when it comes to the environmental aspects, we have underwent significant CO2 and gas emission reductions in the previous years, with about 1/5 of our total emissions, and which converts into almost like 500,000 of the CO2 equivalent reductions in the 17 to 19. We are active with the first climate action bonds that has been executed in Europe. We have transition bonds that are basically for 1.9 billion for hydrogen ready standards, which is something that once again is linking to our hydrogen strategy on a worldwide level. And then when it comes to social impacts, we have been entering Forbes in the list of 150 companies around the world that are actually to be some of the best employers in the world. And the percentage of smart working has increased enormously. Obviously, in 2020, we are conducting our entire operations, apart from the physical ones on the line, directly from remote. And so when it comes to governance, again, we put a lot of pressure on our counterparts and on the reputation of the companies that we work with, and this is proven by the number of reputational checks that we have been developing towards all of the parties that we've been working with all around the world. So our commitment to the ESG agenda development is 100% at every level, and even at the ESG board committee. And let me now go briefly into describe Snamtec, which is basically our investment in tomorrow's energy company. So 1.4 billion investments in a period of 4 years will be basically addressed towards addressing energy transition, innovation and technology, and energy efficiency. So basically, these are some of the investments that we will be performing, and in particular, we can see that the energy transition is covering once again our main strategy that I was describing before, such as hydrogen, biomethane, mobility, energy efficiency, and small-scale LNG, which is something that we are very much convinced that can bring a significant value in the decarbonization of the industrial processes, because it's a small-scale liquefaction technology for natural gas that can be applied to both the upstream industry in order to recover flare gas or associated gas to existing oil fields in a way that we can recover what is currently being discharged in the atmosphere, make sure that we can liquefy it and transport it to the consumer's market, and at the same time it can be used in the city gas distribution in order to foster the use of LNG and natural gas with the aim of replacing diesel and other more polluting fuels. So it can be applied to transmission pipelines in order to feed LNG and LCNG stations, as well as to deliver gas to industrial power plants. When it comes to innovation and technology, we have more than 350 million investment in smart gas and smart technologies applied to transmission pipelines and gas infrastructures in general, with the aim of performing best practices, reducing emissions, making sure that by using IoTs and artificial intelligence, we can forecast the way the infrastructure will react to the transportation of gas. And therefore, we believe very much that innovation and technology is key to reduce the carbon emissions. And energy efficiency is basically a direct and indirect emission reduction of 40% by 2030. And in the plan that we announced this week, our target is to become carbon neutral by 2040. So we are actually putting a lot of efforts to make sure that our company becomes fully sustainable by 2040. Here, very briefly, sorry, it's going a little bit crazy. Okay, so here we can see a snapshot of our value proposition on let's say from the beginning to the end. We have the natural gas pipeline that can be fed directly from natural gas, the upstream or import LNG terminal. Then the very same transmission pipeline can accommodate a blend of different gases. Those gases can be green gases, such as biomethane and biogas that can be produced by our plants. And it can be hydrogen as well, as Giovanna will be explaining us shortly. So with our transmission pipeline, we can basically transport the gas wherever is needed use our storage sites to storage during peak seasons, during low season, and to use it during peak seasons, which is something that is helping very much the balancing of the natural resources in the grid. And then we can deliver it to our end customers. That can, from one side, be industrial power plant, residentials, etc., etc. From the other side, they can be our mobility stations, CNG, LCNG, H2 stations, or we can further liquefy it in order to feed the LCNG value chain that I was describing before. So it's a very 360-degree type of approach to the entire natural gas value chain. Here is a very quick insight on our biomethane and biogas technology, which is something that is always very important to keep in mind. That Snam is a company that is heavily investing in technology, cutting-edge technologies from all over the world, and we are willing to offer this technology to our partners and to to the companies that we're going to go to work with in India. We are willing to offer it on service basis, on an EPC plus O&M basis, but as well in line with our core, let's say, footprint. Snam is a developer company by heart. We have always been developing greenfield infrastructure in the national gas field. So for every single thing, we're willing to, from one side, sell the technology, but from the other, invest and become a partner of the local players. So we don't like to call ourselves service companies. We are investors by nature. So we are willing, if it makes economic sense, to be on the table as well when it comes to investing and developing, for instance, in this case, a biomethane or a biogas plant by using our technology. It is something that we can apply for both biomass from agriculture and byproducts in order to make agriculture more sustainable, as well as from FORSU and sewage sludge. So we have a very complete sort of approach to basically address all the different possibilities that there are in India under the SATAT scheme for biogas and biomethane generation. And basically, before we actually kickstart with the H2 challenge, we have a very short video that we would like to show. I hope the connection will be able to sustain it, and I would kindly ask someone to launch the video if it's possible. Let's see if it goes. If not, we go directly to
Can you see the presentation?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, in a full screen. Okay, perfect. So first of all, good afternoon to everybody. And my name is Giovanna Pozzi. I'm in charge for SNAM of the renewables development within the hydrogen business unit. And in particular, today we have a challenge, the challenge to integrate the renewables landscape with the production of hydrogen. First of all, what is the role of hydrogen in the decarbonization roadmap? We see the hydrogen that can be produced with zero carbon footprint, first of all. As a second point, it can be transported and storage with a lower cost compared to the electricity. And very important, it can be very useful because it can give us the possibility to use the existing infrastructure of SNAM. And last but not least, it's a fuel, it's a zero emission fuel, and it will help us to decarbonize all the industrial processes. SNAM see the hydrogen opportunity with the three different streams of actions. The first one is the asset readiness. The second one is the system design. And the third one is the value chain development. We have done a lot of work on all the three different streams of actions. Let's start from the asset readiness. We are doing a lot of work testing the pipelines, testing the components, testing the gas compressors, the geological storage sites of SNAM, and also we are assessing the use of membranes in order to separate a blend of natural gas and H2. On the system, and we will see later specific tests that we are going to develop over the next months and years. On the system design, we think that there is a lot of work to do, and the work start from hydrogen as part that will be part of the energy mix over the next year, and we see the importance of the evolution together with the being hydrogen part of this energy mix. We see the importance of the evolution from one side of the grid and from other side of the technical standards, not only at an Italian level but also at a European level. As a third stream of action, we see, and as a very important, the development of the entire value chain. We are doing a lot of work in order to scale up this hydrogen opportunity that we see in terms of application as small pilots in our country, but we want to scale up this development of hydrogen. And so we are doing a lot of work on potential partnership with different operators along the entire value chain of hydrogen, but also with the scouting of promising technologies. Looking at more deeply to the readiness of the infrastructure, we see that infrastructure is a key point that will bring the hydrogen to scale up and to enter significantly into the energy mix. First of all, on pipelines, we have done last year. We have done a very important test on our pipeline because we injected a blend between natural gas and hydrogen, 90-10% of volume, and this test has been very successful. We have been able to bring this mix, this blend, to 3 different industries, among them a pasta maker in Italy. And the answer of the pipeline and of the infrastructure up to the end user gave us a very positive feedback. And now what SNAM and how SNAM is continuing to test and to develop its pipeline. First of all the new piping activities is 100% hydrogen compliant. So all our future investment will be already compliant, completely compliant. In addition to this, we are continuing to test our pipeline and validate the hydrogen readiness, and we are very confident that our pipeline will react very good in a very positive way to the hydrogen, because we see that only a percentage between 10 and 50% of our existing network needs to be replaced. Apart from those, all the rest is already ready to support up to 100% of hydrogen. On the compressing station, we see the collaboration with gas turbine suppliers is going to assume a maximum H2 percentage that can be mixed without major modification, and what kind of extent of those modification in case of higher percentage of hydrogen. Tests are planned to verify the readiness to accept 5% of hydrogen, but even potentially up to 10%. On the underground storage, we investigate and simulate the physical test, and we even in this case we will over the next 2 years we will see the use of a mix of hydrogen and natural gas in our current physical storage. Can you see the presentation? Is everything fine?
Yes, you're still on the page. SNAM is assessing H2 readiness.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, because I'm not sure. Then on the final markets, and so what are the applications that we see for hydrogen? So first of all, the most important sector, the industry, the H2 for industry, and so the hard to abate sector. We are doing many pilots in Italy with different industrial operators, and even if it's quite complicated to combine the renewable energy on one side, the production of hydrogen on the other, and the supply to our end user, we believe that the decarbonize the industrial processes is our challenge. As a second market, we see the possibility to use the hydrogen for grid balancing. And so there are many very innovative solutions for utilities that can help even the sector coupling. Then the hydrogen can be applied also to the commercial use, and so we are introducing the use of fuel cell for business continuity and also for heating. Even in this case, last but not least, the transportation. Transportation is a very important industry for the Italian market, and we see the importance of transform the current railway system still working with diesel with hydrogen trains. But we see also the possibility to start to use hydrogen also for the public transportation, and even in the heavy duty system. We in particular we have signed a couple of important partnerships, one with the Italian railway operator Ferrovie dello Stato, and the second one with Alstom, the hydrogen train producer, and we are going to we already started to work with this transformation and switch from the use of diesel to hydrogen in some part of the Italian railway. What is the role of SNAM? SNAM wants to look at the entire value chain and the entire business model, starting from the green energy up to the system customization and the O&M to the end supplier. And what does it mean? This means that SNAM already has a very important role in the green hydrogen and in the engineering and construction, because those areas are the core business for SNAM. However, SNAM is putting in place a lot of activities in order to enhance the entire and to give a boost to entire business model and to all the different blocks of this value chain, starting from the green energy, because we are signing partnership in order to combine and to integrate the renewables energy to the hydrogen production. And but as we know, the combination and the integration of those two I would say energies is not very easy, and it's very important to support it with a solid infrastructure and with a view on where and how to bring and to supply all the different potential users. Then SNAM has demonstrated to play an important role on the technology side and also on the system customization. Going to the different and possible solutions, we see a couple of solutions that in front of us. One is the production of green hydrogen, starting from the renewable sources with an electrolysis production, passing by the infrastructure of SNAM and going to the end user as a green hydrogen or as a blend of hydrogen and natural gas. The second business model is the use of the fuel cell, and so starting from the natural gas on one side or the hydrogen or a mix of them, we can use a fuel cell and provide the end user with the electric power from one side and the heat energy on the other. So what SNAM is doing on the technological side? SNAM believes that the technological part is very important for this business and wants to invest in all the potential technologies that can boost this the penetration of hydrogen in the energy mix. In particular, SNAM has signed as both a stake in ITM Power, which is one of the world leader, global leader in the production and the commercialization of PEM electrolyzer. And more recently, SNAM has also bought an important stake in a company named Nora, who is another global player, but in this case, in the alkaline electrolyzers. So what SNAM can bring and wants to bring to the Indian area is all its knowledge and its expertise on the entire value chain of hydrogen, combined with the expertise, even the local expertise, and the green production of India. For this reason, we are start working with with different Indian players in order to develop some local projects and test the possibility to combine the renewable sources from one side and the hydrogen production on the other, and hopefully to contribute to the penetration of hydrogen in the world. This was our last chart. I don't know if I hope that I've been on time with the...
Yes, thank you very much, Giovanna. Now we have still about 10 minutes for the session question and answer. I thank you so much, both all of three of you for the presentation. We have a question for Enel and another one for SNAM. I start with the question for Lamberto. You told us about how the energy transition is taking place in India and the role of renewables. So, what's next for Enel in India?
Well, I mentioned, well, first of all, we will go on with the current process, because I mean, it's a long path. The plan of the Indian authority is very ambitious and requires the commitment of all of us for being accomplished. So then the next of our sector, I probably mentioned during the presentation, is of course the storage industry that will bring a disruptive technology into our world, into our electricity world. And the second thing is, of course, the use of hydrogen that we consider, of course, to be produced from renewable sources, so to be named green hydrogen. Today, the Honourable Minister, just before our session, spoke very extensively about the commitment of the country also in this new field of hydrogen. And of course, we hope we will be able to provide our contribution as well. Having said that, we continue with our investments. The portfolio that now we should bring to construction is about something like 1 billion euros. So, I mean, we are quite busy, and we would like to grow in India in much more also in the next future.
Lamberto, thank you very much, Lamberto. The second question is for SNAM, and is on hydrogen. How do you think to develop your activities in India on hydrogen? With which partners? This is a question for SNAM.
I don't know if Giovanna, you are still there, or if you want, I can basically touch base on this. So the strategy that we have in order to develop hydrogen in India is to try to understand where are the areas where hydrogen can basically be needed from the industry, or that can be, or maybe if it is not needed now, what areas could hydrogen enter into the production fields and manufacturing activities in the years to come. Once we have identified these areas and these players that could basically be the potential players that will need hydrogen, we need to find the most efficient place to basically produce hydrogen, which is not necessarily right next to them. So it's a combination of different aspects, if I may say. We have to generate something that is able to produce hydrogen with some partners, with some Indian partners in certain areas of the country, and then with some other Indian partners, we need to find a way to transport hydrogen all the way to the let's say the market or the consumers of hydrogen. So the challenge is basically to make sure, which is something that we are replicating in other geographies as well, it's try to find the most suitable and economical solution to deliver hydrogen wherever is needed. For this reason, we are actually discussing with different players that are actually working in different industries and different fields of the value chain, because we need more than more than one player at the table for covering all of these different parts. So it's a very, if I can say, 360-degree strategy to bring hydrogen everywhere is needed in the country. And it is something that we are actually very much focused on, as you have probably seen from all of the agreements that, that we have been entering into.
Thank you very much, Davide. We have seen today the challenge for India, but also the opportunities and the commitments of our most important Italian company in renewable energy. We have also the most important grid operator, that is Terna, is also Terna considering to explore opportunities here in India. There is also a strong commitment of CDP, that is our investment bank, to support investment in India. So I'm so happy that this could be one of the first steps of the implementation of the Digital Summit, because here we have the occasion to present our activities to the Global Reinvest, that is the official forum of the Indian government. So we consider this event as a first step in the presentation of our strategies, our opportunities, and also the commitments of our national champions, I would say, Enel and Snam, in this strategic area of renewable energy and green economy and energy transition. Thank you very much, Lamberto. Thank you, Davide. Thank you, Giovanna. And thanks a lot to the organizer, Sanchit Srivastav, for having given us this great opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much.